welcome to My Voices Have Tourette's, and that's why I am ticking out loud. My name is Dan Zar, and let's get started here. So today's episode is brought to you by Gamesless Studio, where we are recording, The Secret Cellar, Iceland's first and only comedy club, and Smauri's Volcano Sauce is the greatest hot sauces I've ever had in my entire life. I also should point out that this episode has 3 Tourettic people, so we'll say it's also sponsored by Tourette Syndrome. But I am joined by 2 incredible people. One of them is my co-host, Elva Dog.
Hello.
How are you, Elva?
I'm good.
You are good?
Yes.
Just good.
Yeah. Well, now I'm actually great after I met you guys.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Well, you don't have to lie to us. It's fine.
Thank you.
But thanks for joining us. And let's get right to the guest. So the guest that we have today is honestly an inspiration of mine. She is, I describe her as a Tourettic hero because she is fighting so hard for the rights and just the acceptance of Tourettic people and people with disabilities in general, and she's just doing such an incredible job with all of it. Let's welcome the one and only Christine Ticking Out Loud.
Well, thank you.
I'm just
I'm grateful for the red carpet. This is amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh, of course. I love how you were. I asked you if you wanted to be on the show, and you were just like with the celebrities, and I'm like, okay, you don't have to lie to us.
Well, here I'm in the presence of Elva. From my understanding, you are a powerhouse when it comes to disability inclusion and disability rights in Iceland. And Dan, I have a confession to make.
I'm just here.
Yeah, okay. All right. Dan, now I know I've arrived because knowing you makes me 3 degrees to Conan O'Brien.
Oh.
3 degrees.
I like how you say that, and I'm guessing it's because I did a Zoom stand-up comedy show that was created by 2 of the writers of Conan, and I assume that's what you're talking about. That doesn't
exactly.
I mean, I'll let you have that one, but that's a bit of a stretch.
No, I'm sorry. Like, there's me, there's Dan, there's Conan's writers, and then there's Conan, yeah. Okay? I have been crushing on that man since the 90s. I have spent many late nights with this man in my bed, and I have arrived.
Yes.
It's for real now.
It's the red hair, I think.
It's the red hair? You are.
Don't tell anyone.
No, see, you are very confusing because you often joke about the fact that you don't pay attention to your son because he has red hair, and now you're just like, it's the red hair. That's why he's so attractive.
I love red hair, and that's why I make fun of it with my son. He knows I love his hair, and I wanted a red haired child, and I got one. That's why I just have one because I got it right in the first.
One and done.
Yeah.
One and done.
Yep.
Is that why his hair is so short? Like, do you just cut it in his sleep so you can keep hold on to it?
Yeah. I've made a pillow with all his hair that is cut off his head, and I sleep with. No, that's creepy. I'm sorry.
Well, I was about to suggest you could sell it as Icelandic Yeti hair or something on eBay.
I could do that. Yeah.
Are you tired of regular old hair? Try Icelandic Yeti hair. It's red. So it's special. But Christine, it's great to have you on here. How have you been?
I'm busy and dealing with a lot of movement, non-Tourettic movement. Okay. Imagine that. And a lot of stuff. I know I've been quote unquote silent on social media in the last few months. I've been working behind the scenes, if you will. So last year I was privileged enough to be found and asked to contribute. Yes. And asked to contribute on a job coach program, and job coaches that specialize on working and integrating disabled individuals in the workplace. Yeah. So I collaborated on that. I also collaborated on a literature and policy review of disability and indigeneity rights in Nunavut. Pending publication, both peer-reviewed and all that. I'm not proud of myself at all on that. Those credentials mean nothing to me. And currently in the process, and I feel very privileged to share that here because you are the very first to get those big news.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes.
We should change this to my voices have big announcements.
we can say that too. And let me assure you, my voices will tell you a lot of things as well. So the organization I work for, the Nunavut Disabilities Mekinasuektet Society of Nunavut in Iqaluit, we're currently editing a pre-employment curriculum program that focuses on literacy and numeracy skills and other skills or competencies, if you will, in the workplace.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and our job is to remove the ableist language. And if there were any works to cite from, I would. So that means that we are the first ones to remove ableist and infantilizing vernacular from pre-employment programs.
Oh, nice.
Cool. That's really amazing.
I know a lot of people don't see the value in that, but after reading, the last year and a half, I've had my nose in academic documents related to disability and indigeneity rights, in Inuit rights in Canada. And we're not doing really well. And it's very emotionally taxing to really see for myself what people really think of it. Now, there's a bit more of that critical theory being embedded in some of those inclusion programs and some of those, but yeah, it's hard to be in there every day.
Well, I think the topic of like ableist language it's very fascinating to me because I've noticed, like, I feel like there's a lot of people that don't have Tourette's, for example, that try to be an ally, they try to be supportive, and they try to use okay, so I brought this up in one of the first episodes that we did because one of the things that I've noticed is that I found that a lot of people that don't have disabilities or disorders, they talk about like how people should stop saying that they're suffering from them and saying that they're living with them. And I think it's so important to recognize both of those things because those are not the same thing. It's not, you're not describing the same thing. No. And these people that are saying stuff like that, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that one is particularly harmful as other things most certainly can be. But that one, it's just one of those things where they just don't think about what they're actually saying.
Yeah. And that you can be doing both. You can both be living with something and suffering from it. It's, yeah.
Yeah, I've thrown my hand into a table before. It's not pleasant.
Yeah. It's very true. I mean, a lot of times I manage my conditions. I suffer from it when I trip on the floor and have to stop myself on my wrist.
Right.
That's suffering.
Yes.
I suffer from the strain from neck tics. Sometimes I suffer from losing my voice. Yep. I suffer from people's biases. But am I a Tourette's sufferer? I don't think so.
Right.
I don't identify as such, but it's still valid. Yeah, some people do suffer. Right?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's just important to recognize both because I've talked about the fact that like with depression, if someone lives 60 years and they just can't think of any reason to be alive, that's not really living. That's just existing. That's not really living with it. So I think it's important to realize that there is suffering involved, but we want to get to the point where we are living with it. Living with the suffering.
Yeah.
And so this project that you've been doing with, is it about indigenous people who are also disabled or is it like, just two groups?
Well, whatever intersectionality we can find, really, right? So the organization I work for focuses on disabilities, but we also serve the Nunavut and Inuit community at large, right? Yeah. Everyone who lives there. And interesting enough, it's a very diverse population. There's a high South African presence in Iqaluit for some reason. Same with Filipino. And there's a few Kalinat, which are technically colonials. There's quite a few of those, but primarily it's about 80% Inuit in Iqaluit. And of course, the further out you go, the more primarily Inuit it is.
Yeah. Because I often feel that we forget about, someone is disabled, but they're also like me, for example, I'm disabled, but I'm also a woman. And my needs are different from someone who is disabled, but also a man, and there's still not as much equality and all that between the genders, even if both of them are disabled, and I think we forget about these things a lot, that you're not just one thing,
right.
and all of the things you are might make you have to fight for some rights that people in general don't think about, because you're just disabled. You're not, it's like, oh, I'm not a woman anymore. I'm just disabled. So I'm sorry,
That's very true. Do you find actually that now that you bring up the intersectionality of being a woman, I'm a feminist too, by the way.
Yeah.
I have to, I hate labels, but they are a necessity, right?
Yeah.
Because the entire concept of feminism and equality is, social constructs. But I call myself a feminist. I'm more of an equalist, but yeah, so that's how I have to identify. But you are correct. It seems still to be primarily a Caucasian dude thing. We listen more to the quote unquote perceived authority of non-female people, if I may say.
Well, I think, because I've been thinking about this a lot over the past couple months, is the fact that it seems like the disability community does, in a sense, there is a similarity with the fight for equality for women, because of the fact that there's a lot of things that people just don't simply notice. And it's not because they can't notice them. Mm-hmm. It's because either they just were raised to not give a shit about it, or it just doesn't. It's not something that they can conceive the thought of. There's a fantastic episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine where Amy is going to check out a case where a woman was claiming to be sexually harassed by one of her coworkers. And then Amy's talking about how this case means so much to her because of all the issues that she has to go through on a daily basis being a woman. And she goes through some of them. And there's literally a moment where they flat out show her in a police uniform. And this guy's coming down the stairs. "Excuse me, miss, do you know where I can find a police officer?" And she's just pointing out that she's wearing a uniform. And she's like, "Are you serious?" And then Jake shows up with just a badge on in regular clothes, and he's like, "Oh, officer, can I talk to you?"
Yeah.
And it's just
I remember that one.
Yeah. And the whole thing, Elva, you were talking about, you and Alex have also mentioned that there are times where someone will be like, "Hey, what's this thing called?" And a woman in the group will say what it's called, but they'll be they'll be not heard. And then one of the guys says the same thing. And then they're like, "Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking about." And it's just these things that happen so often, and you notice them as soon as you think about it. But it's just something that no one just takes the time to realize it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually noticed that quite a bit in the corporate world, even before I claimed my disability identity. Did you know it's a crime to outperform your male colleagues when you're a woman?
Is it?
It's a terrible thing,
What?
I mean, you make them, them feel inadequate.
Well, I am going to have to leave because you are outperforming me.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh.
This is just atrocious.
Yes, it is.
I'm just saying. Like I've noticed that a lot in the boardroom quite a bit. That happened to me a lot, and I was director of business development, right? So it doesn't matter what your title is. Apparently, how your gender presents is more important. So you can imagine when I raised my hand, and there was no difference between Monday at 5 and Tuesday at 9:01 when I disclosed. No difference whatsoever, right?
Yeah.
The only difference was, hi, I require accommodations because I have disabilities.
Yeah.
At that point, I had even less voice. So when you talk about intersectionality, it's interesting because I thought I was quote unquote oppressed, unnoticed in my opinions. Let's be very clear. My opinions, my appearance, people, be original, please. I found that my opinions go largely unnoticed as a woman. But then, you add disability, and then I realized how privileged I was to be able to fake my way for 40 years, pretty much, as a non-disabled person. Yeah. But also that reflects a lot of internalized ableism. So the journey to faking being normal to ticking out loud, that's a lot to unpack and deconstruct, and I'm still working on it, right? That's an ongoing process.
Yeah, that just sounds like my journey, totally.
It's
the same.
That's an insane.
Tell me more.
That's an insane thought, by the way. Is the thought of like because people talk about how they think that people are faking Tourette's, and most of us have lived our lives trying to fake being normal.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I'm just faking trying to get through the day. I don't tell me I'm faking my disorder, okay?
Yeah. Right.
And if you were going to fake something, this would not be it.
Why would I fake puberty? That makes no sense. Like of all the things, I mean, okay. I will say, as a Tourettic person, realizing that I have a lot of privilege in saying this, but like I understand someone wanting to have an excuse to swear all the time, just shouting them out. Okay, fine. First of all, terrible excuse. But why would
and lazy?
Yeah.
Lazy.
But why would I want to fake squeaking? That just.
It's like, Dan is coming. Where can you see him? No, but I can hear him.
I'm a Tourettic beacon. I don't get lost in the mall. People just Dan's lost. Hold on. Be quiet for a second. Oh, he's in that section.
Yeah. It's good for us, your friend.
It's good for me. I never get lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need Find My Phone. You just have the embedded Find Dan.
I would be the worst contestant on Survivor ever. Like if I'm trying to be sneaky about anything, I would just be squeaking, and they'd be like, Dan, we know you're listening out there.
Yeah.
You're not being subtle. But I did want to one other thing I wanted to say though about the topic we were discussing is now on the side of disability, this is something that I've been getting more into here in Iceland, trying to fight for the right to be disabled. It was the word
exist.
Yeah,
to exist as a disabled person.
I didn't really want to say fight for the right to be disabled. Like fight for the right to party was in my head, and I was just like, I can't help myself. But no, what I was going to say though is that what
Beastie Boys.
What really gets under my skin is the topic of how much disabled people get per month from the government. Because I think it's atrocious, the fact that the conversation basically, like from my perspective, I look at it as basically the government is like, okay, so let's see, the average person needs X amount of money to survive. So let's just start by giving the disabled community that much. And then, because we've got people in unemployment and they're actually working, let's give them a little bit more. And it's like, okay, but are you thinking about medication? Are you thinking about support for what we have? Are you thinking about just the everyday things that we need to do just to simply be able to function? You're not taking that into consideration. That's not even a thought.
No.
And I think it's atrocious.
Yeah, it is.
How is it in Iceland? Like in terms of, are you below the poverty level? Do you require housing supports? Is there food banks? How does it work?
Yeah. Our
dog got a job.
My dog has a job. But the benefits are below poverty lines. And a lot of people have to go every month or every week, I should say, to food banks and try and get some food. And it's just a lot of people cannot even sometimes buy their medication. And I've been a witness to that multiple times. And it's just kind of, it's this thing here that it's sorry, everyone taking at the same time. That was great. Was a Tourette choir.
This is like a Tourette double-decker sandwich.
Yes.
The percussion section.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but so a lot of people actually, give a kind of hate speeches about disabled people. We're just disabled. No, we're just lazy. We just want to be on benefits. We just want, and I always say, well, if someone wants to be on these benefits, he is sick and disabled because they're terrible. I wouldn't even wish my worst enemy trying to live on these benefits.
Well, and that whole thing where they're like, oh, wow, so you're disabled, so you can't work, but you're going out to the bar and hanging out with people.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I have a life too.
Exactly. Yeah. and it's not good. Disabled people do not have a voice, I feel, in Iceland. We are not in any conversations about anything, and my feeling is that nobody really cares. They just want us to be somewhere else, and we don't want to, do anything to help. And what I've been trying to do these last maybe a year, 2 years, is that I've been more kind of shaming society and not the government. It's society that we need the healthy people, air quotes, with us to raise our benefits and all that. It's not the government we need to get, behind us. It's the other people.
We need the allies.
Yeah, the individual responsibility. And it's interesting because I brought that up, and I commentary on so much stuff in private groups. I don't know which one that was, but fuck ADHD. What were we talking about? Oh yeah. The benefits, it's in Canada. It sounds very much like in Canada, right? So right now in Ontario, where I am currently living, it was 40% below poverty line before COVID. Right now it's 52% below poverty line. Now the Toronto market, rental market is becoming slightly more affordable. So I am moving within the next couple of weeks. So stability is important, but all of a sudden the rentals are within my reach. Yeah. Now, granted, that would probably comprise 97 or 98% of my total income on a month that I'm not working, but I'm still covering the rent, right? So that's huge. Housing is a huge issue here. There's tons of homelessness. not just in the big cities, right? In all the smaller regions, it's appalling. And there's all those vacancies. There's all those empty hotels, empty venues, empty places, and we're just jamming people in shelters that are not suitable for them that spread COVID. It's kind of like it's almost like they're trying to have the virus spread among certain population. I can't quite tell. Like sometimes I'm never sure.
Yeah.
But in terms of services, okay, we're talking about privilege. Okay, I just gave you an idea of how people live in Ontario. I've only been on the program for 2.5 years now. Now, most people have been on that program their entire lives. And now I'm understanding the mindset. Cough if you need to.
Yeah, I'm just doing ticks. It's fine.
Okay. So it's, where was I talking about? Sorry.
The mindset of the people. That have been in the program their whole life.
Right. So I remember when I first joined a lot of those disability groups, I was a bit annoyed, like, where's this? Where's that? And I was like, okay, all right. And then I realized it's like, listen, the only reason why I know how dire disability benefits are is because I've made a very successful living before. I have been middle class before. I've had tons of privilege before, but now I'm starting to realize that what we call privilege are quite literally basic dignities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my God,
So,
this is so what I have been. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yep. So basic dignities, right? So as I said, at first I was really annoyed. And after being in here, like in the middle of it, moving every month, living in unsuitable conditions, where, sounds, lights, people, scents, and food sensitivities, like I can never recover.
Yeah.
Ever. So right now, I don't know how much of my workplace accommodation to a reduced schedule, I don't know how much of that is long-term, right? I don't know if I'm going to be able to recover once I'm on my own again. I've lived on my own pretty much my entire life, right? So the last 2.5 years being around people all the time, 31 months and 2 days of that, who's counting? Not me. It's a lot. Yeah. So it's not just that, it's the insecurity, having to look all the time. That's very taxing. Looking for a place to live when you're on disability, because a lot of times the moment you mention service dog, when I was not working, what's your income?
Yeah.
Right now I am working, right? So I'm focusing on that in order to secure a place. Yeah. But yeah, it's terrible. So now that I've experienced first person, all those challenges, I have a much better sense of why everyone is just like, where's this? Where's that? We are systemically driven to scramble for resources.
Yeah.
So when we're busy looking for food, looking for work, looking for housing, looking for meds, looking for what else, right?
Yeah.
That's all we do. That is all we are reduced to. Yeah. Of course, we don't have time to think about all the systems that put us there. Yeah. Right? Yeah. You have to keep in mind, I had to, as I said, I made it to director level as a working person, right? In the more traditional employment sense.
I feel like I went on disability in like 2012, I think. I was 33, and I think that when you've not identified or had a disability from the time you were born, you like you said, you see the difference in how you are treated before you are disabled and then after you are disabled, you know, and you know, and it's like, and I think that is why I'm so angry a lot, because I have this, I can compare these two, and it's like, why does people not have any respect for disabled people or people who are sick their whole life? And like, why are we making the lives of those people more difficult than they already are? Because it's very difficult to be disabled or have a chronic illness or something. And
well, and the crazy part about that is, I was thinking, like, from the perspective of me looking in, because I've never been on disability, but looking in on it, I've noticed, like, a lot of people tend to look at disabled people as simply being in a wheelchair. That seems like that's the only factor to it.
But also, one of the factors why people don't invest in disabled individuals is that so for example, I'm sure in Iceland, it's probably quite similar to this. Here, we have supports for women fleeing violent situations. We have supports for mothers. We have supports for ex-cons, people coming out of mental health programs and such, right? Everyone deserves support, no matter what, okay? Right. Basic dignities. I'm sorry, if you're an ex-con, you've paid your debt to society, everyone deserves a chance until, you prove that you can't.
Right.
But, at least give it a shot, right? All those people are perceived as potentially contributing to society again, right? One of the reasons why disabled individuals are not invested in is because we are perceived as perpetual parasites to that system.
Yes. Yeah.
But if you look at all the disability service industry, and I am calling it an industry.
It is, yeah.
It is. What's parasitic? Us, the disabled, are the people who exploit us and make money and make a living off of our,
I've often thought, like, what would the healthcare system do without us?
I mean,
exactly.
To be fair, we're trying to make a living off of disorders and syndromes, but that's a whole different.
Well, we're not exploiting them.
Yeah, we're not exploiting them. We're raising awareness for them. There is a difference. Right. I just like, when you said that, I was like, one could argue that that's kind of what.
But it's different when you have the disability.
Oh, 1,000%.
But because I've sometimes thought, like, okay, so what can we do to get more benefits and stuff? Maybe we should just stop all the things we do as a disabled person and just see the healthcare system just like die because no one is going there, and like see all the doctors and nurses and everyone will have nothing to do, and but it's just because it's frustrating. It's really frustrating.
Imagine that situation where someone in the health industry is complaining that they're bored, and then just like a disabled person just being like, "Oh, you're bored, huh? Uh-huh. You're bored, huh?"
Yeah. To that point, the healthcare system. Okay, everyone knows that Canada has "quote unquote" free healthcare.
Yeah, it's the same here. Free.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of provinces are moving towards semi-privatization.
Mm-hmm. In Iceland also.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So right now, as a disabled person who is moving constantly, so that qualifies me as a no fixed address person. I am sheltered, but I am of no fixed address. Okay, I'm 47. My mother passed away from colon and liver cancer at 46. I've had symptoms of colon cancer ever since my 20s, and I've been requiring colonoscopies every 3 to 5 years. Well, my colonoscopy has been delayed for over a year now because of COVID. And right now, because I'm of no fixed address, my doctor cannot schedule me for any kind of exam. So right now, for all I know, I'm dying of cancer. I mean, I hope not, because I still have things to do.
So you can't actually have any exams because you don't have
No.
That's weird.
I can't get the colonoscopy. So I can be on the phone with my doctor, but because I'm moving all the time, she cannot schedule me for a colonoscopy. So that's how is that related to my disability? Well, I am of no fixed address because of my income provided by the government of Ontario, which puts me in systemic poverty because of my disability. Yep. So yes, it is discrimination, yes. Right? Yep. So based on disability and housing status, but I still can't get access to those programs, right? Yeah. Also in Canada, I don't know if you've heard, but we've got medically assisted suicide available.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was,
Yes. And right now, it's called BC7, Bill C7. Right now, under my current circumstances, I could qualify. They're trying to make it even easier. Yeah, they're trying to make it even easier for people to qualify. So that someone who's been living on the margins their entire lives, has been forced into systemic poverty, has never been given any kind of opportunity, has lived with countless barriers and was never able to move forward with their lives because of a lack of resources, could quite literally be fast-tracked to, I've got lifelong depression because I have zero dignity in my life. And the government's like, you can die. I have no problem with people with medically assisted suicide. Okay, let's start with that. Yeah. Okay, but if you are asking to die because you are living in systemic poverty and you see no end to this, I'm sorry, you should provide the support first before you put someone on their deathbed. This is disgusting.
Yes, I totally agree.
This is disgusting. Yep. But that's what I'm afraid of. That's going to happen, right? Like I'm being denied access to a colonoscopy. So for all I know, again, I'm experiencing symptoms. My mom died of this. Yeah. I'm older than my mom. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what's going to happen when I find a place? It's going to be like 4 or 5 months because of all this backup before I get something. And it's like, oh, sorry, you've got stage 4. Do you want to die? Yeah. Right. So that's what I'm afraid of. Oh, wow. I got so passionate. I'm still here. Yay. Yeah. I am here. Yeah. I want to live.
Well, and I just think it's atrocious that thought of like as it gets easier to get access to assisted suicide, then also to go grassroots. Even just getting on disability can be challenging. Yes. I mean, because
it's humiliating. Yeah. It's humiliating. Yep. I had to liquidate all my assets. Remember, I was a middle-class person. I went 3.5 years without income in Toronto. I was a good earner and a good saver. I had to liquidate my assets before I could get on. So you literally have to be worth nothing. Yep.
You had a story like that as well. Like you basically said that you had to like go through like a meltdown essentially.
Oh yeah,
before you even
before I got any help. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was like screaming for help for years, and I had to have a very, very bad meltdown last year to finally be someone to take notice and like, oh, okay, hey, do you want us to help you? And
no, I've just been screaming the past few years because it's enjoyable.
Yes, and then I finally got help, and it's been wonderful, actually, the help I got. But it took, it was just, it was horrible. Pretty much.
I'm so sorry you went through stuff like that.
Yeah, but that's just what everyone is dealing with in this situation.
But nobody should.
No, nobody should. That's the thing, That's why I think it's so important to talk about all these things and not shy away from what is wrong in society. It's not that I'm not saying that nobody wants, disabled people or whatever to have good lives. I'm just saying the system is not doing the things that it needs to do, so we can actually live a good and proactive lives. Because like a lot of people were like, oh, 2020, it's the worst year. It was such a bad year.
Sorry.
And everyone.
I'm laughing it off. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to laugh it off, but I'm laughing it off. Seriously.
I must say, 2020 was a long way from my worst year. Mm-hmm. And actually, like before Christmas, I didn't have to scroll through any Facebook pages with all my relatives or friends or whatever taking pictures. Oh, I'm in Amsterdam for, before Christmas. I'm in Köpen before Christmas, because nobody was able to go anywhere. And I was like, I'm never able to go anywhere. Now I feel fine. I don't have to envy anyone. There's just going to be Christmas, So in that respect, COVID did not have a terrible effects. Yes, thank you. On my life, it made me feel better almost.
Well, to be fair, though, since we're on this topic, I do want to mention something though, because it's kind of a terrifying time, because everyone it's that whole thing of check your privilege at the door. You get all these people that are like, oh, like, and I'm not meaning, Elva or you or any of the stuff we've been talking about, but you get people that are just like, oh, I've been fine with COVID because, I just had plenty of money from my job. How's everyone enjoying their private pools and their private yachts? And it's just like, why don't you shut the fuck up and maybe give me some of that money, because I'm not doing that well. No. And it's all
because we're not all in the same yacht.
Exactly.
The same yacht. Exactly.
Now to be fair, I have a modest 10-car garage. It's just a modest one though. No car.
It's
I do it just for the aesthetic. It's just I want to be able to have the 10-car garage and just have people go, that guy, he's got it made.
Yeah.
But no, actually, that 10-car garage is actually the size of like a little shoebox. Mm-hmm. I just made it because that's all I could afford.
It's sad. Yeah. My mom got COVID and.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
How is she?
Well, she's different, let's say. But I mean, she's fine in some respects, but not as good in others. And she got very seriously ill. And like after COVID, when she was like walking and stuff, her body she was like, my body just does just whatever. I'm gonna trying to walk there, but my body just made me walk somewhere else. She was saying,
really?
Yeah, she was just saying that to me, and that she couldn't control her body, and I just looked at her and like, yes,
join the club.
I do. Yes, that's what I said. I was like, I do know what that is like, actually.
It's like your joke of I'm trying not to move.
Yeah, I'm trying not to move.
Did you give her a membership card?
No, I haven't yet, but I might.
You should.
Maybe, yeah. So now her and my dad would have Tourette's. Oh, that's nice.
There you go. Across the generation. Yeah. This is fantastic.
Yeah, so my dad has Tourette's and I have Tourette's. And my son has Tourette's. So we're a long line of Tourette's.
It's like we were saying in one of the last episodes. You don't just like Tourette's just isn't just a part of your life. You are Tourette's.
Yes.
Right.
It's everywhere.
Right.
Tourette's is your family.
Yeah. Yeah. See, in my family, I'm the only one who is claiming a Tourettic identity or any kind of neurodivergent identity. However, I just found out that one of my nephews is possibly autistic. Okay.
Oh, yeah?
I have one nephew who is diagnosed with ADHD. I'm pretty sure one of my cousins is autistic. No, he's the quiet one, right?
Yeah.
Migraines run in the family. So neurological conditions are,
they are
pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But but Go ahead.
Yeah, but I feel it's so funny that after we started our stand up and then the podcast, and now when I'm always talking to people with some neurodiversity or psychiatric disorders or something. I kind of feel myself now when people say, so my son was diagnosed with Tourette's. I'm always like almost saying, oh, congratulations. All of a sudden, I'm just seeing all the amazing things my friends with all these things have and the people I know. And I'm like, oh, ain't I lucky? And like, oh my, and now I've started seeing just all the positive things, all the creativity and all that stuff. And yeah, so when you were saying, so my nephew was diagnosed with autism, I almost said congratulations.
Well, you know what's wild about this? So I've been doing research on social media marketing lately because it's something I've always been interested in. And the topic of hashtags comes up a lot in social media marketing. And I was researching them, and they said that one of the things they said was to like go on each of the platforms and search, like type in one of the hashtags and see how many people are using it. And I looked, and I went on Instagram and I looked up complex tics, and that had I think it was less than 100 shares.
Yeah.
And then I went on TikTok, which unfortunately is not a social media for people with Tourette syndrome. A perfect name.
Neither is Twitch. Neither is Twitch. I'm so upset.
But the thing is, I went on TikTok and I searched for hashtag complex tics, and it's in the millions. It's in the millions, and at first I searched for hashtag Tourette's on TikTok, and that's literally in the billions with numbers of view counts for it. And with that one, my first thought was, okay, well, to be fair, as a comedian with Tourette syndrome, Tourette's can be funny, but at the same time, when you search for complex tics, and that's got the same reach as things that are like influencers are sharing. I mean, that's astounding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Devil's advocate, because I have to be.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. Okay. There is the importance of knowing that it's reaching a lot of people. So I think there is a bit of a fetish for othering Tourette's, and I think a lot of those hits are related to that. Because, for example, if you look at everything about Tourette syndrome on YouTube, right? What gets the biggest hits is the stuff that's the most spectacular.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Right? It's good that it's being talked about. It's good that it's getting exposure. But what does it do for inclusion? Yes. Right?
Yep. The stereotypical, that people will think Tourette is. Because it's so much.
There is that curiosity. Yeah. It is, it is quite spectacular sometimes, right? We have to admit to it.
Yeah, but a lot of times it's just really boring and like annoying, A lot
of times it's just really boring. Yeah. I love it.
Well, I think the main problem that we have in society is that we live in such a marketing world. Yeah. A marketer's world. So everyone just looks at everything and they go, okay, even when it comes to the whole thing of awareness and all that stuff, they go, okay, well, we want to get people hearing about Tourette syndrome because it's important, but to be fair, the little handshake of yours, no one's gonna pay attention to that. No one's gonna care about that. But you did shout out fuck, and that I can promote.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't want you to promote it. I want people to know that this exists. I want people to know that it's not just that. There's other things. That's why
it's not just the physical tics. It's a lot of.
It's a spectrum. Yeah. And it's a full spectrum.
And that's what that was my thought with doing 31 days of tics is I want to show people that how many tics the average person with Tourette syndrome actually has. Yeah. and how few of them people actually think they have.
Yeah.
Because there's so
Right,
much. I mean, 31 days. I have way more than 31 ticks, probably in the span of 2 hours.
Yes.
But at the same time, I guarantee if I asked any of my friends, how many ticks do you think I have, like on a daily basis, they'd probably say 1 or 2.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Right.
There are, you go.
Oh, sorry. And of course, now I forgot what I was going to talk about. Oh yeah, you're talking about awareness campaigns. Again, devil's advocate, because I'm looking at it from the systemic angle.
Of course.
Don't get me wrong, it's good to have organizations, right? Everyone needs to have some form of resource to go to. I still think that Touretters themselves, ourselves, are the experts.
Oh, yeah.
You called it professionals before. I guess in a sense we are professionals,
Yes.
but we are experts on our own conditions. So awareness campaigns. You said they're to create awareness about a condition. They're quite literally to create awareness about the organization. So the organization depends on funding. So I don't know if you've noticed, but most awareness campaigns are about the feel good, the inspiration angle, nothing that really challenges, right? Not to say that sharing relatable experiences is bad. No, not at all. You have to. It's important to connect to other Touretters. It's important for non-Touretters to know what Touretters that are not the Touretters they know, what they experience. That's important. Where I have an issue is where it strictly focuses on the inspiration, right?
Yeah.
I really don't like the narrative of I overcame my Tourette's.
Yeah,
It's
I agree.
I overcame myself. No. I spent 40 years doing that. This is toxic. This is bad. I overcome a lot of biases. I overcome a lot of attitudes. I overcome a lot of,
Prejudice.
daily.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I literally just have to go outside with my service dog, medicate. So if I do it at 5:15 in the morning, an hour after I wake up, and someone's out there having a cigarette, isn't that a bit early for this?
Yeah.
I'm medicating. Medical marijuana is how I medicate. I'm prescribed 3 grams a day, and that has to be out of my pocket.
Yeah.
So, So I can't medicate properly most of the time, and right now I'm working, so medicating properly is a priority, and I'm noticing a huge difference.
Yeah.
Huge difference. But that's 3 grams of marijuana a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, and we've had this conversation personally a few times about organizations. And my feeling is that, of course, it goes without saying that, and I want to stress, not all, but a lot of organizations, they mean well. At least from the start, they mean well, and I think that there are still, even some of the ones that get a little off track, there are things that they still do that are great. It's just like, I 100% agree. I don't want to hear a story about someone overcoming Tourette's. What I want to hear is a story of someone coping with Tourette's.
Yes.
I want to hear the story of them learning how to make it, like how to go from the suffering to the living, like we were talking about in the beginning of this episode. I want to know how that person, things that I'm going through. I want to be able to relate to what they're saying. I don't want to just have them go, hey, how about the idea of us getting rid of this? No, how about the idea of us talking to each other and going, hey, this has been really stressful for me. This has been really tough. How did you deal with it? Well, this is how I dealt with it. Hey, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah. And sometimes
that's this type of stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just want to talk to someone who knows.
Yeah, just meeting someone.
Who says, I understand what you're going through and I'm sorry. Sometimes that's all you want.
But see, it's interesting because I found better resources in Facebook groups than I ever did anywhere else.
Yeah, that is true.
And again, as I said, it's not a bad thing that it gets talked about. I have a problem where it focuses on the inspirational angle and does not acknowledge that it could also be a disabling condition.
Yes, I agree.
And that's where I understand not wanting to scare anyone off, and it's important to,
Yeah, but you just want the truth.
Aspire.
You want the truth out there.
Exactly.
You don't want this picture perfect of, I have Tourette's, but it's all fun and
I can do anything.
Exactly.
I can do anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, nope, I can't.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I spent 40 years thinking I could do anything until I couldn't anymore. Exactly. Right. Yeah. So
exactly.
It's good when things are good. I'm happy when things are good. Right.
But they're really bad when they're bad. That's
I'm sorry. When my neurology, like I spent, in the last 31 months, I spent entire months recovering or just trying to cope, not being able to do anything. I'm talking, I have like 2 functional hours in my entire day, and I use them looking after my service dog, my pet cat, and if I'm lucky, maybe eat or shower.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes I can't do both, right? Yep. So
totally.
No one wants to acknowledge that. I understand it's terrifying. Listen, I faked being normal for years. Yes. I understand the terror. I understand the internalized narrative that goes with that. Mm-hmm. It's scary.
It is.
Yeah.
But
you have to face
organizations. Organizations are doing everyone a disservice if they don't acknowledge that aspect of that. Yeah. The same way, like especially in Tourette organizations, the same way they're saying, "Oh, but it's not coprolalia." I'm sorry. Yeah. You know what? Yeah. I've had coprolalia my entire life, but I only started dropping the F-bomb 4 years ago. Everything else was a slur, an insult or something like that, but I didn't swear. Yeah. And once I realized that I was using but I didn't swear a couple of times with a couple of people that had coprolalia, no one had to tell me what I was saying was not right.
No.
Right.
Because by doing that, think about it. You're a 10-year-old kid who's trying to find out more about what's going on. And then you go on those forums and all you read, but at least my kid doesn't have coprolalia.
Yeah.
Right.
What does that tell you? As a kid, as an adult, right?
Yep.
As adults, we are conscious of all that. And that's largely why we mask and we keep doing all those things. But seeing that kind of separation, it's kind of like an elite club or not. It's a spectrum.
It is.
Yeah.
It's just a spectrum, and it's just another tick. So one of the things that I think
could we just not
Tourette could we just not say at least it's not coprolalia?
Yeah.
It's harmful because it's just another tick.
I'm so grateful for the Tourette Association here in Iceland. We are very small. We have now. I think we have around 300 families that are registered in the organization, and that's the most.
That's awesome.
That's the most we've had.
You've got a population of 350, 1%, 35,000, 3,500.
Yeah.
So you've got 10% of the Tourette population. That's really good.
Wow, we have that's more many people in Iceland.
Oh, and that's just a family number.
So many people.
It's not how many people are in the family. So we just register one family. But there could be 2 people with Tourette's in it or something. But what I especially like, I'm on the board, and there's 5 people on the board. 3 of us have Tourette's and ADD or ADHD and OCD, and we're like, and all of us have children. And then 2 of them are mothers of children or of kids that have this. So we come at it from different angles, but we all know that we or their children have had to struggle a lot with this. And so that's the angle we're coming from. Not to like, oh, Tourette's is great. We're all like, no. So it's horrible sometimes, and like all the OCD and the bad temper and all that stuff,
Okay. Yeah. There needs to be better dialogue between non-Tourette parents of Touretters and adult Touretters. I find when a parent starts opening up about their challenges, we encounter very similar challenges. It's literally the flip side of the same coin.
Yeah.
And if we have better conversations, I think it might be easier to mobilize resources and get things happening.
Yeah.
What do I know? What do I know?
Well, we are unfortunately getting down to the end here. But before we go, first of all, I realized we have not talked about this, so I just want to make this comment. We didn't talk about the fact that you go by Christine Ticking Out Loud, and we're doing an episode with 3 people very obviously ticking out loud this entire time. That is special. That is special. I because at one point,
no one is embarrassed about it.
I was gonna say because at one point you were like Christine was just like, Elva, just feel free to cough, and in my head I'm going, well, we're supposed to be ticking out loud, so that's what we're doing. But before we go, Christine, where can people find out more information about you and the work that you do?
Okay, the organization I work for,
you
can find them online at newability.ca. So NUABILITY.ca. Online, you can find me on Facebook at Tourette's Empowerment Hub or at Ticking Out Loud. That goes for Instagram, YouTube, and I'm considering a return to Twitter eventually.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not there yet.
I got a Twitter.
Recently downloaded Instagram.
I got Twitter. I was like, I'm gonna give this a shot. I'm still trying, but I'm just like, this is just. I don't know about this one.
It's I have not opened the app in over 2 years with good reason. Yeah. Like sometimes, I could not believe it. I actually did it. But I do have to return at some point because, well, now I have better credentials. And even with those, I'm probably not going to be, received as I would like to be, but here's to trying and keep trying.
Yes.
Yeah, I still have the energy to do it. Whenever I have the energy to do it, that's what I do. It's either that or I'm laying flat with my cat and my dog. That's it.
I have my dog here with me actually, and and
he's got a diaper on.
He's got a diaper on. Yes.
But it got undone a little bit, so he's been walking around like he's got like a karate belt on.
Yeah,
and it's just flopping down his butt.
Yeah. Oh, he likes to mark his territory inside, and I haven't gotten him neutered because his testicles are in his stomach and haven't dropped, even though he's almost 5. Okay. So it's a surgery and stuff, and it's expensive. So I just have to put diapers on him if we go into someone's house.
You are accommodating your baby dog's condition.
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and to the listeners, like, be sure to check out Christine's pages because she's absolutely phenomenal, as you've heard from this interview. If you want to find out more information about Elva, she has a Facebook page it's at the Elva Dog because she is the Elva Dog. It looks like Elva Dog with 2 G's because she's a double dog. And I can't put
any relation to Snoop.
No. Duck in Icelandic means dew. The dew on the grass. That's what duck means.
Doesn't Elva mean river?
No, that's with an F. Elva with a V, like my name is spelled, means like the white one. So, yeah.
Oh,
do
okay.
with that what you want.
Well, my full name is Christine Bélanger, which quite literally translates to beautiful angel of Christ.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, as you can tell, I am living the life. Yes.
I thought you were going to say that Elva is the twitchy one.
No.
I was going to be like, wow, that is the most perfect, but no, you didn't.
That would have been, yes.
That would have been insanely perfect.
Yeah.
But beautiful angel of Christ.
I know.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
it doesn't get any better.
Honestly,
than that.
that's just too epic. I can't compete with that.
No.
I can't. My name is Dan. You know what it means? It means Dan.
Yes.
That's what it means.
It's horrible.
It means the guy who talks a lot. That's what it means.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
It's a horrible name.
I think you should change your name. That's what I think.
However, if you do want to learn more about Dan, you can find me at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Dan Zarin Comedy.
You don't want to, though.
You have to. All right. No, you have to admit that was a perfect transition.
Was very good.
That was. Yes. I'm proud of that one. That was just spot on.
I am forced to admit that you did this very
You set me up beautifully for that one, and I just took off.
Yes.
If you want to. To the listeners, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you want to learn more about the show, check us out at My Voices of Tourette's on Facebook, Instagram. We are at MVHT Show on Twitter.
Everywhere.
We are everywhere except for TikTok. We're not there yet.
No.
We do have a brand new Patreon page. Patreon.com/MVHT show. You can find us there. You can
boring.
Yeah, you can also if you have any questions or topics for the podcast, or you just want to get to meet us, or you want to talk and share and learn more about stuff. Check out our new discussion group on Facebook.
Sharing is caring.
MVHT. Wow, I'm blanking now. MVHT Podcast Discussion Group on Facebook. It's a wonderful platform that we're starting out here.
Yes.
And
wonderful.
Yes, absolutely. If you want to,
it's wonderful.
It's wonderful. If you want to check out, if you're listening to us on Spotify or any of the such, be sure to follow, subscribe, all that stuff. If you like the podcast, leave us a 5-star review. If you hated the podcast, leave us a 1-star review, and I will never get Elva back on the podcast.
Yes.
That is a promise. I won't get rid of the squeaks.
No.
Like John from Illinois, you keep telling me to get rid of the squeaks. I can't do it. I wish I could.
To get rid of me than the squeaks. I mean, that's just...
The more people tell me to get rid of the squeaks, the more I'm going to squeak.
Yes,
That is a squeak guarantee.
If you get rid of Elva, I am starting a global campaign. I'm just putting it out there right now.
I'll be with you in that, yes.
We will never get rid of Elva. You guys can try, but it won't happen because Christine said that she will start a campaign.
Tried,
and when Christine starts a campaign, you will not win. So I'm just... But be sure to rate and review the podcast. We absolutely would love to hear your thoughts. This episode has been brought to it just keeps going. Yeah. This episode has been brought to you by Gamesless Studio, where we're recording the Secret Cellar, Iceland's first and only comedy club, and Smouty's Volcano Sauces, the greatest hot sauces I've ever had in my life. And
I want some hot sauce. I'm going to get a new apartment really soon. Do you guys export to Canada so I could have a real housewarming party with hot sauce?
We do. If you are interested in Smouty's Volcano Sauces, check out Smouty'sVolcanoSauces.com. And be sure to check out the Facebook page as well. It's a wonderful hot sauce. Just remember, though, if you already do have Tourette Syndrome, after eating these hot sauces, your butt will end up with the same ticks as every other. All right, I need to stop doing that joke. It is. Yeah. But anyway, other than that, though, everyone, thank you so much for listening, and check out new episodes every Tuesday.